Welcome to the Gearbox Podcast with Jimmy Purdy. We're bringing together industry leaders and those in the daily grind. Whether you're a tech looking to level up or a shop owner navigating the business, or just here for some real talk about the automotive world, we're finding the common ground in entrepreneurship and picking up some valuable tips along the way. So buckle up, let's shift into gear. Before we get started, I want to let you know the Gearbox Podcast is powered by the Repair Shops of Tomorrow. It's our exclusive coaching partner. If you're looking to boost profitability, grow your arrow, and streamline operations, RSOT has the tools and expertise to get you there. Shift your shop into the future with the Repair Shops of Tomorrow. Well, I'll give you a quick introduction. You're with Repair Shop of Tomorrow and your shop up in Michigan.
Yep.
Cool.
I've been a coach since January with RSOT and have been a client since 2017, and then I've owned Velocity Tire and Auto here just outside Grand Rapids, Michigan since 2015. So.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's Brent Kilmer.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. You know how the pronunciation of I'm sure you get enough clients coming in, you're like, I'm not going to try to pronounce that one.
There are a few interesting ones. Yeah. I've gotten the Val Kilmer thing over the years. That seems to be the most popular response to my name, but
That's fair.
He's gone now, so maybe it'll not
give it a couple
wear
years.
off. Yeah. I'm now the most famous Kilmer, I guess, right?
Yeah.
All right.
For me, anyway. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a small group, but it's famous in that group.
So with your move into coaching with let's kind of dive right into that part of it, because that's pretty interesting. How is that working out for you as far as coaching? Do you feel like you get more benefits that way? What was your kind of push to start coaching?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it really being coached really changed my business. So I came out of I've been in the car business on the car selling side since I grew up in it. My dad did it when I was growing up, so I grew up around dealerships, and then I started selling cars when I was 19. So I did that for most of my career, and then when I opened a kind of a small used car dealership a couple years before we moved here, it was really just that. And then we moved here, and I bought a business that was here that happened to have service. And so we took that over. I hired one guy that had been working here with his dad that was actually the owner. And all of a sudden I was in the service business along with selling cars. So my Napa rep, actually, who I had a good relationship with, advised me to maybe check into Repair Shop of Tomorrow. I did that and signed up with them probably within the first year or so. And I mean, year over year, the first couple of years, it was like 50% growth, like right away. And so it was really changing things. And so I saw the benefit in it right away, developed some good relationships with my coach and some of the other people that run that company, and have just, really bought in over time. So the years went by, and our business really changed during COVID from mostly selling cars and a little bit of doing service to almost the exact opposite. We really scaled down our inventory, and we really focused on being a service company. So so that just really changed the focus. And then as Repair Shop of Tomorrow grew, they asked me to come on board, and I really saw that fitting really well with just kind of the type of person I am. I really like working with people, and so far it's just been great. It's very rewarding. Most of the clients that I work with are super people, and watching them get results is really cool.
That's awesome. So you jumped on with RSOT. You haven't had much of, I mean, that was it. You didn't jump around. You didn't look for different ones. It just kind of worked for you and just stayed in that groove.
I did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. They, my coach's name was Mike, and he was a somewhat recently retired shop owner that had owned his shop for a long time. And we just had a lot of synergy, and I bought in, and mostly he had to push me on some stuff for a while.
Sure.
But every time I bought in a little more, I felt like I saw the results that they were telling me that I would get. So a lot of trust got built over time, and I really ended up really trusting what they were telling me, and I saw the results. So it was
The
definitely good.
resistance thing, I want to jump back to that because that's something I hear a lot, and
Yep.
I went through my own personal struggles with it with different coaching companies. Is you get a little bit of resistance, or you put up a little resistance with when you're with a coach, right? Someone's telling you how to run your business, and the whole
Yep.
reason why we all start a business is so that no one tells us what to do.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And for like the first couple months you're paying for a service, so you're going to listen, and then all of a sudden 6 months down the road the payments kind of evaporate from your mind, right? Like
Yep.
you don't realize you're, and then you got just somebody telling you what to do.
Right.
And I think a lot of people put up that wall, and maybe you have a client or someone that you're dealing with that, but they put up that wall and then they stop listening to you, and you're like, and that's where I think a lot of shop owners plateau,
Mhm.
and then it's the blame goes to the coaching company, right? Like, well, these guys, I've been with them for 5 years, and I saw growth in the first 6 months or first year, and then it stopped. Man, they don't know what they're, and then they quit the coaching company, and then they run their mouths like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, but
Yeah.
it comes down to the person wasn't willing to listen. Have you seen that, or what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm still a little. I have some experience with that on the client end, being one for a while. As a coach, I've had 10 months now with clients, so I don't have a real long period of time to be able to say that.
Sure.
But for me, yeah, for me, I really didn't know what best practices were when I started. I inherited a company that frankly was sold to me because it wasn't doing great. So I inherited a pretty low labor rate. I inherited a lot of goodwill in the community, but a lot of that goodwill came from probably being a little too generous.
Yep.
He was a great guy, like to the point that it probably hurt his business. And so we immediately started moving what we were charging up slowly, and we were seeing results. Um, so the growth the first couple of years was big, and and then naturally it kind of levels off after that. I mean, you're particularly when you run into a client that is probably undercharging, they just don't understand what they're worth or what the service is worth in their area. When you get them to see that, there's instant growth and it's pretty big. But you obviously can't grow at that rate indefinitely. You kind of get to a point where you're charging what you should charge and you're doing things the way you should do things. And when you've improved 10 things, there's big movement. But in year 3 or 4, we're doing most things pretty right. So now we're just maintaining, we're making sure that we're doing um, the things that we've always done well. And there's a level of accountability with a coach to keep you where you're at and grow, but the growth is a little bit, more moderate year over year.
Yeah, the impatience comes in, right? You get a little impatient. It's kind of like the analogy, like you've been on the sidelines running your business, and then the coach gets you actually into the game. Now you're on the field,
Yes.
and so there's like an immediate, right? There's that immediate, like, holy moly, here we go, right? And
Yep.
then life's good, here we go. But now you're in the game. Now you're with players,
Absolutely.
and
That's
now you
what
gotta fine tune everything, and the fine tuning is the maddening part, right?
it is. Yeah. And it's and things change all the time. So there's the challenges that we face today in our business just because of the world and the environment, and the challenges we faced in 2016 some are the same, but a lot of them are different. It's just a different, every year there's different things that come up, and the business evolves, and we evolve, and staff evolves, and things change. So as things come up, um, it's just super helpful to have another brain involved to give you some perspective on what's going on.
Yeah, that's really what it is, right? I think I had my not anticipation, but my own, personal beliefs about what a coach is going to do, you know, change a lot. going through my journey of different mentors, right?
Yep.
And you kind of wait till everything's on fire and falling apart, and you're like, okay, I'll
Fix
wave the
it.
white flag now. And it's
Right.
like this weird metaphor of like, I'm gonna get a coach now, and that means I'm waving the white flag. I give up. And it's like it's such,
Yeah.
I don't know. Once you're on the other side, right? Like you understand, like, man, I was so like ignorant.
Yeah. I mean, to think that I could have all the answers myself is doesn't make any sense now, but I did
Yeah.
feel that way.
Right. Like, I'm just no, I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. And then he's like, you wait till it's like, okay, this is. I met a guy in Apex. This was like 6 or 7 years ago, and I remember he had a shop in Florida, and he was doing a bunch of classes, and I'm doing classes, and I was like education, so I was just there like listening, and I was kind of vetting coaches because a lot of the coaches will put on their own little seminars there at Apex, and I ended up talking to him after on one of the breaks, and the story was, oh man, I got about $1,000 left in my bank account, so I just decided to spend that money to fly out to Vegas to learn how to turn my business around. And I'm like, oh man, I don't think this is gonna work.
Yeah. No, no
I don't think this
pressure,
is,
Jimmy.
yeah,
No
like,
pressure at all.
I don't think this is how it works at all, man.
Yeah.
But I think that's the story that a lot of people adhere to, right? They just think, oh, it's okay. Like I'll keep trying, and if everything goes south, I'll just hire a coach and they'll be able to pull me back out of it. And it's like, man, that's putting a lot of, I mean, that's putting a lot on these guys' shoulders, right? It's just
Yeah.
we're just, I mean, you're just a shop owner, right?
Yeah.
Just willing to take your time and try to help someone else.
Yeah.
You're not a hero with a cape on that's going to come in and save the day.
Well, yeah, and even with that, at the end of the day, if that's your attitude, you better be ready, because if now you're giving it all to me to tell you how to do it, are you ready to really do the things that need to be done to make it a change? And for
Mm,
me, that is, I've been really lucky with the clients that I work with. The large majority of them are really open to making the changes that need to be made. But if there is an area that's hard, and it was the same for me as a client, there are some things that you're just reluctant to do. I mean, it's like, even though everybody's telling you this is what you need to do or where you need to be, it's hard to trust that and say, okay, my clients are going to accept this and not run away. My employees are going to stay on board and not get upset. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you have to walk a line of what am I willing to do, and how far am I willing to go to make the changes that need to be made. Some places I work with, it's just minor tweaks. Other places we need to kind of start from the ground up. So it's just, you got to have the right mindset.
yeah, it's the analogy of like how a tree grows, right?
Yeah,
The seed has to completely destroy itself for the tree to grow, right? And
very
so a
true.
lot of people aren't
Sometimes.
willing to
Yep.
kill. Yeah, a lot of time people aren't willing to kill their old version of themselves
Right.
for the new one to grow, right? And it's
Right.
like that guy's got to die, man. He's got to go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, I want my gross profit to be 15% higher, but don't change my labor rate because everyone will leave. Well, it's like, well, okay, it's
Oh,
gonna
that's a
be
great point.
it's gonna be hard to do. We can't do one without probably at least looking at the other. So,
Well, just like with bad employees, and I'm sure man, I really like him though. Can we get him to be more productive?
right, right. This guy's great. I just need him to be totally different than what he's shown me he is from the day I hired him. Oh, okay. Yeah. Why don't I'll come help. Yeah. So, I mean,
And
we
that's a
all deal
subject.
with it. It's
Yeah,
normal.
well, that's a subject we can all relate to, right? It's like,
Yeah.
so what do we do? What training? It's like at the end of the day, it's like it's not gonna do what you want him to do. So you got to
Right.
change your expectations, or
Right.
you got to fire him.
That's right. At some point, it becomes not even really their fault. We see who it is, and we see how they are, and it's not working, and we're keeping them. So I've done it. I mean, believe me, I've made mistakes in that department. I've been really lucky with employees, but it is hard when you have a bad one to not think you can fix them.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought too. Is like from the coaching side, because you're seeing maybe once or twice one or two interactions in the month of the staff, right? So you probably get a pretty jaded picture from the owner, right, of what's going on. And so the decisions you have to make have to be kind of with a grain of salt, I would imagine,
Yeah, it
because
is
they're kind of just
interesting.
venting to you, right? And then you're like, well, then get rid of them. And it's like, but then you don't get to see the other 28 days of the month that maybe there is like, well, where are these numbers coming from? Oh, well,
Yeah.
he knocked out some good work. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, then that's got to be tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, I would be and I am very careful about talking about staffing decisions based on just a few conversations. Let's make sure number one, we have the right data for what's going on in our shop, because that's a lot of what I see, frankly, is a lot of the things I'm hearing are kind of anecdotal. This is how I feel about this. This is how I feel about that. This is what's happening. When you actually say, all right, well, let's dig in and look at the actual data of who's turning what and what kind of results we're getting out of each person. A lot of times they either don't have that data, so they're actually not sure, um, or we look at it and it's actually not what we thought. This guy, he might have an issue with this, but he's actually doing really well in another area or whatever. So you got to be really careful, just to your point, taking an owner's, um, you know, what he says on everything, that it's absolutely true until we kind of prove it out.
Yeah, letting the emotional decisions
Yeah.
that we're all kind of guilty of, but
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of taught me to slow down a little bit in my own business too. Hey, I'm starting to feel this way, but what's actually happening in the
yeah.
business still?
Yeah, that's I mean, and that's a fine line, right? Because you want everybody to be happy and you want a good environment, and you don't want to have to micromanage someone, and the freedom, right? Like I think that's the biggest thing we all want to start a business for, is the freedom, and
Yep.
quickly realize that it's the other way.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
it
know
certainly can be. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you lose a lot more, at least in the beginning, right? Like you
Yep.
lose a lot more freedom than you gain.
For sure.
And maybe there's some that are smarter than me that's able to get through that faster. But you're looking at someone's performance and being able to say, are you okay with dealing with them even though they're a high performer, right? Or would you rather just not have that money in the bank and have a happier, more productive environment, right? Like it's just tough. It's such a tough situation to try to say, do I get rid of this guy? Like
Yeah.
it is ultimately your business, man, but do you want to make more money, or do you
Yeah.
not want to look at this guy's face every day? I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
sick of hearing his jokes every day? He's
For
putting
sure.
money in the bank account, right? Like, and I don't mean to sound like so jaded and so like the evil shop owner side, but those are the thoughts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to, I think with something like that, it comes down to, for me anyway, um, if a guy is really profitable, he's doing a great job for you, but he's creating an environment in the shop that is causing issues with keeping other people, or if a guy is 110% productive, but he's causing two other guys in the shop to be 70% productive, then
That's a good point.
we have to look at that overall. It's hard to know what directly that effect is, but I think you got to look at the whole picture. For me personally, in my shop, it's very important that the culture in the shop is right. I do not want to create an environment for my guys who have been with me for a long time and do a great job. If I brought somebody new in, even if he was a big producer, if he made them hate coming to work every day, that's not something I'd be willing to do. Now, if the guys that are upset about it are not profitable and not productive already, then that's a whole separate issue. But I don't want to ruin a good thing, a really good thing, with one guy that may really overproduce, but ruins the rest of it. Because you know, if you end up losing them, then you get all your eggs are in the guy, the toxic basket, and
Right.
there he goes, and now you're back at square one. So we've been lucky here in my shop. Like the guy that when I bought the business, I bought it from his father. He was in his early 20s at the time, his son, and he's still with me. So 10 years later, he's my lead guy. He's ASC master now, and we've watched him get married, have a kid, buy his home, all those things. So there's a lot of like good stuff about, and he happens to be a great tech and he's really productive. We've had a few guys that I've hired to come in that have been attitude issues, and they don't last long because, I just don't want it to be terrible for somebody like that I really value.
Yeah, that's really fair. I mean, that's I guess that's the ultimate role of a leader, right? Is making
Yeah, and
sure
it's
that
different
everyone's
for
taken care of.
everybody to decide how willing you are to, do a little bit of each. So,
And I've had it on the other side where someone's not as productive, but they boost up everybody else in the shop, right?
yeah,
And so I don't know. I like to say it's kind of laying on landmines, or like laying on grenades, right?
I get it.
The
Yep,
really problem cars that all the other techs, the high production techs, are like, you can see it in their face. Oh, I don't want to deal with this. He's like, I'll do it, right?
right,
And it's like, and he's willing to go in there, step in there, and figure it out and do it with a smile. And it's like the other guys can stay productive on the other stuff. It's like, yeah, maybe he's not like the most productive tech in the shop. And if you looked at it on papers, you'd probably be like, you probably need to get rid of that guy. How much you paying him? It's like,
right,
yeah, but if he's gone, then that work goes to those guys, and all their numbers tank.
right.
So it's like, yeah, it's a balance.
Yep, it is. And I think that again is really important to understand deeply your numbers in the shop.
Hmm.
So when you know that, when you know what every guy is doing, then when things change, you introduce a new variable into the equation in the shop, and then you know where you've been. So if it changes, now you know, okay, this is what caused it. This is the only thing that's really changed, and now all of a sudden this guy's production is tanking. So if you don't really know what everybody's doing, um, then you don't really know what's causing a problem, or that you even have a problem, or what it is. So that's something that I'm really fussy about, and that's kind of been something that was coached into me, was a real understanding of all the numbers of the business. And when you have that, it gives me a lot of reassurance that when something happens, I'm going to notice it, and I'm going to be able to pinpoint what's happening, and I can correct it quickly.
Do you think there's too many shop owners that don't aren't involved enough in that aspect? Do you think they're kind of trying to put pieces in place and then let it just kind of run, right? Like they just think the idea of a business is you just hire people and then the people do the thing and you just keep moving and you just start separating yourself further and further away from the business, when in reality you should be like not micromanaging but really like deeply understanding every little aspect.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's evolved. I mean, the first couple of years I was here, probably the first 4 years, I was the owner, um, the service advisor, the manager, probably the janitor. I
Yeah.
kind of did everything. And, I'm answering every call, I'm ordering every part, I'm quoting, doing all the estimates, I'm, dealing with all of it. And that was just kind of the way it had to be for a while because, I don't know, probably maybe it didn't have to, but that's just the way it was for a while. And as I got coached more and as the business developed more, I was able to put the right people in. And I'm still here pretty much every day. But my guys would definitely say I probably am not a 40-hour guy anymore in the office. But I'm very aware of what's happening. And so, I'm in charge of doing the marketing. I'm in charge. I've written a job description for myself as the owner now, and the things that I'm responsible for. And that is, marketing and basically maintaining what's going on. So I get reports that I look at every single day. And like to my previous point, if something starts popping up in those numbers that looks different, then we're going to start digging in. And I'm really lucky to have a guy, a service manager, who's also the advisor, who has a high understanding of the business too. So if something happens, we're in we're talking about it right away.
Yeah, a couple layers.
Yep,
And just like to your point earlier about when you hire a coach, you got someone else that's willing to, it's like if you have those people in your business as well and you have a coach, now there's a lot of eyes.
for sure. Yeah, like my clients, they fill out these sheets daily for production,
Hmm.
and it's in a format that's shared with me. So I'm in their accounts at least twice a week, looking at what's going on that week. And as the month goes on, if something's developing that we need to get ahead of, I'm sending an email saying, "Hey, I noticed this is going on. Is a guy sick been sick for a week? What's going on?" And if we need to send out an email to our clients to start generating some appointments or car count or whatever, we can get ahead of that before all of a sudden it's the 20th of the month and we're going to have a terrible month. So to
Yeah,
your point,
that's
yeah, more eyes is better.
with your in your opinion or the way you like to. Is there a certain way you strategize your business and something that you use for coaching? There's like a lot of different ways of running a business. Do you have a specific vision or specific strategy that you like to implement to help other owners grow?
That's a great question. It depends a little bit on who it is and what they're looking for out of it. I think, for instance, like I have a client now who bought a shop about a year ago. They had like a small shop across town, and they bought a shop that had been there for like 50 years from a guy who was, had been in his family and he's retiring. And it was bigger. It's got like 8 or 9 bays where they were out of like 2 bays before. So now he brings in his wife, so they work together, and they have way more staff. They actually live on the property. So this thing is like their whole life. And in our initial conversations, like they're making money, they're doing okay. Um, and what are your goals? Well, one of their goals is we want to be able to have a little bit of a life because we're literally, it's the first year. We're both here every day. We're working our butts off. And then when we close, we go into our house, which is on property. So we don't feel like we're ever really leaving. And if we want to take a vacation together, we got to basically shut the thing down.
Mm.
So, how do we get to a place where we can work on the business instead of in the business all the time? I mean, they're definitely going to be working in it at to some degree, but to not have a real doable way to take vacation is an issue for their marriage, for their business, for everything. So that was one of their major goals. So I can kind of work toward that goal along with some of the other stuff because that's what they want. And then other clients, that's not an issue. So they're just looking at like, we're just working really hard and it feels like um, we're just kind of breaking even. So what do we do to start putting some money away to start making the kind of money that we feel like we should be making? And that goal is the way we get there is going to be a little bit different than it might be for the other one. So
That makes sense. Yeah, it's what their definition of success looks like, right?
definitely, because mine I'm 47. I started here when I was 37. Life looked a little different for me at the time. My kids were younger, now they're older. I'm just at a different place in life. My goals are different now than they were 10 years ago. I mean, I definitely didn't think I'd be coaching 10 years ago. I was just busy working this thing like crazy, trying to get it off the ground. And now it's like, okay, I want to start looking at what do I want to do as I get older, other than just run the shop. So
Yeah, that's an interesting outlook because that's like you could set up like a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, and then when you get to the end of that, well, not the end, but when you get to that point, well, now all of a sudden you're like, well, no, I don't really want to do that, but you just spent. So then you have this like epitome of like, did I just waste the last 10 years for this goal that I no longer want anymore?
right, not that I've
But
ever
that's like
thought
that.
that. Yeah.
That's getting too deep, huh?
Right.
Well, it's
Well, I
just
mean,
like
yeah. I mean those are all things. I don't know if a lot of us would admit it, but yeah, of course. I mean, I think in any career, it's like, is this it? Is this what I want to do? Is this, what's it look like? Now I'm, almost 50. So what are the next, those 10 years went by pretty quick. So if in another 10, I'll be almost 60, am I going to be happy doing just this? So those are all good questions for everybody to ask, I think.
well, I think it's important to like think about what putting a goal in place does, right? Because it's never about the destination, but it's the journey, right? Like that's like the goal is what keeps you motivated, you
Yep.
know? And if you don't have it, then there's like then what is the point, right? But
Agreed.
I mean, things always can change,
They
but it's
usually
the
do.
what's the when you get into a position that you're not familiar with, the imposter syndrome, right?
Right.
It's like you don't really like. I mean, for me, when I started, it was like I was a technician, right? And I kind of fell into the position of like buying the shop, right? And I just had this need to make the shop better than it was because I worked for it for so long,
Yep.
and I saw it kind of get disorganized and in disarray. And I'm like, I want this place to be what it was 40 years ago, and
Yep.
that was where I wanted, and that was my goal, right?
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, I'm the owner of a shop,
Yep.
and I'm like, I don't really like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I'm a
Yep.
technician. Like I'm really good at fixing cars. I build transmissions. That's what I. And now I'm like managing people and I'm like hiring people. And it's like, okay, now I got to
100%.
learn how to do
Yeah.
this.
Right.
And then just the technician in me wants to figure that out. Like I want to figure out how to be a leader, how to be. But it's like that's not something you just read a book about or like watch a YouTube video on, right?
No, it's unfortunately some trial and error involved too. Yeah.
Oh
Right.
my God, it's just
Yeah.
never ending, But
Yep.
then you get to the point and you're like, and then you start realizing your old self is dying and it's painful. And it's like, man, I'm no longer that person anymore.
Yeah.
Like what just happened?
Yeah.
But it was all for this little goal that I had.
That's super interesting to me because just that whole idea. Because for me, it looked a little different than that, but it was a thing where, I mean, I grew up. I spent almost 20 years in the car business, and that was kind of who I. I mean, I'm like I had subscriptions at 8 years old. I had subscriptions to Motor Trend and Car and Driver magazine. Like I was looking at the new models and all the stuff. Growing up, my dad, working in a dealership, running dealerships, always drove a demo. So we were in different Cadillac or different cars all the time. And that's just kind of how I grew up, and that's what I always thought I would do, and I did it, and I did it well for a long time, and then I started this dealership, and we were when we started, we were stocking like 30 to 40 cars. I was buying them all, selling them all myself, and selling maybe 25 cars a month, and that added up over 5 years. You put a lot of customers out there, and that becomes who you are. So when we transitioned away from it, and my little speech when I met people of, hey, what do you do, became, well, I own an auto repair shop, and we do mechanical repairs on cars, we fix all makes and models, all that kind of thing. I mean, I hate to say it, but like the level of interest from people became zero. Like, I mean, I felt like if I wanted to kill a conversation in a party, I would just start talking about what I did. And everyone was like, oh, okay, let's move on. I mean, it was like awful.
Yeah.
And before, when I would say I own a used car lot, which seems not that exciting, people would start telling you about every used car I had the worst car back in 1987, and you have all these stories about cars they bought, or a guy they bought a car from, or whatever, and it was like this major. Do you ever go to the auctions? Can you find me a car? Can you do it? Those things like naturally came up, and when it changed, it just went away, and like nobody really wanted to talk about what I did.
Mm.
And to your point, it felt very much like, is this, like, I lost a little bit of that. I really thrive on person to person stuff. I'm a people guy. And a lot of that went away. And I went through a period where it was like, I don't, I don't even know if I enjoy this. It's just not as much fun. And
Identity crisis.
it felt that way. And then, so then I started identifying more with being a business owner instead of what the business actually did. And that has been kind of freeing for me to be that. I'm more of an entrepreneur than I am just a guy that fixes cars. As a matter of fact, I really don't even know how to fix cars. I just know how to, run a business that does. So
That's an important kind of mental shift though, right? Or like a good pivot because it's because you have to do that. You have to uh, get yourself to that point where you say, I'm no longer a technician, right? And I'm kind of speaking just from my side because
Well,
a
I see
lot of
that all the time
most
with
yeah, most
people.
shop owners are technicians. Yeah.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Yep.
And if you keep telling yourself that you're a technician, then you keep running your business as a technician.
I think it's great that technicians that become shop owners typically know what good quality work looks like. So they can implement a standard in their shop, but it becomes a negative when the tech that becomes an owner can't stay out of the shop. And it can cross over into negative when nobody's good enough to fix cars because they don't do it the way he necessarily did it the whole time.
Oh
Everybody
man, you're just like talking right to me right now. It's like a
Yeah.
you're like a therapy session right are you watching me? Are
You
you
got a
watching what I
couch
do
in there
around
you
here?
need to lay down? Yeah, we can do this. Yeah.
It's true though. I mean, and I always think about and that's where I get that overwhelm point for me, and I start thinking, I'm like, man, how do the guys such as yourself that don't have the mechanical experience, like how do they run a shop? Like, and I come across these problem vehicles sometimes or something that comes up and it's like the only one in the shop that can fix it is me, right?
Yep.
Like, and I'm not saying that to beat my chest, but it's literally like we were a transmission shop, so sometimes stuff comes in and it's like I'm the only one that can fix it, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, how do the guys? So they do they not do transmission? But then there's other stuff that comes in, right? That's like a really high level diag or something like. Do they just send it away or like? I'm like, how? But like, I should send it away, but I know I can fix it. So does that give me like an advantage, or is this a dis? It's so hard to like get myself like, am I a step ahead or a step behind here? Am I stupid or am I really really smart?
Really, really smart, Jimmy, for sure. Yeah.
But you know
um,
what I mean? Like you bring in
yeah,
some of these cars sometimes, you're like, maybe I'm the dumb one for bringing in these freaking headaches that I shouldn't even be messing with.
there have certainly been times where I have seen um, the pride of, you know, I can fix this, getting you into something that maybe you never should have taken on. That being
Yes.
said, I think
That's the dumb side.
I mean, I don't know if we'll call it dumb, but maybe the non-productive side. Yeah.
I
But
like that. Okay. I'll take that.
yeah, but the idea that you are that guy is also a lot of the reason why you're successful and a lot of the reason why customers like you, why you run a good business, because you do believe that you have the ability to take care of problems. And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. I mean, maybe we shouldn't take on every problem, but the idea that we want to run into it and fix a problem is a good thing for a guy who owns a business for sure. So
That's a
um,
fair point.
yeah, I think so. But for me, like I can tell you, I would not know how to do just about anything myself to fix a car, but I could tell you because I've had so much experience in the business what just about every car probably needs, you know? So I can recognize, to answer your question, how does a guy that never fixes a car know how to do it? I hire the right people that can actually do the work, but I have a pretty wide knowledge of things that are common on all different cars, you know, because I've seen so many. Honestly, I've bought so many cars to sell that end up having those problems that end up making it a loser for me that I've learned the hard way that cars need stuff. So I
Yeah, they're
can,
pattern failures for
right.
sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's,
I think on that point too, I want to pivot off that point because that's a really really valuable statement there that I recently just had the epiphany of, and it's that cars all break for the same reason, and I think the ego of a lot of master technicians or a lot of high level techs, they just really take a lot of pride in being the guy that tells you what's wrong with the car, right?
mhm,
Like I will tell you what's broken because I'm the guy with the knowledge, right?
mhm,
And they just can't come to grips that maybe cars all break the same way, right? Like, or maybe not the same way, but the same component needs to be right, like a Jeep Pentastar 3.6. It's leaking oil. Where's it leaking oil from, right?
Right.
Like every single time, it's
Yep.
the freaking oil filter housing, right? We
Yep.
don't need to do a 2-hour diag on that to figure out where the oil's leaking from.
Right.
So, and I think that's like, man, I mean, that's a topic that just really just jabs a lot of people in the side too, because a lot of guys take a lot of pride in being able to fix these things, and they just can't come to grips. Like, man, sometimes just a general service tech can catch like 80 or 90% of the problem vehicles that are coming into the shop. You don't need this guy with a scope out there to figure out a lot of this stuff. It's like they're typically going to be the same thing, right? And can we just get it in and let's just repair it and move forward, right? Maybe
Yeah.
verify the problem, but like more than
Yeah.
likely it's going to be this, that, or the other thing. And I
Yeah.
think
I
that's a
mean,
valuable thing you said.
there are definitely levels of who's needed for what diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
Like, and even within master techs, I think there's a difference in, you have some master techs who are really, really skilled at complex drivability stuff. I happen, to have one. And then you have other master techs who are really good, but maybe they're not as good at that type of thing. Everybody's different, and I think part of being an owner is knowing who can handle what and making sure that you're not doing a disservice to your customer, but that you're getting stuff figured out and fixed the most efficiently that you can. So, and
Yeah.
a lot of that starts with putting it with the right guy.
And that kind of pivots in like what I wanted to ask you about that specifically is the diagnostic realm.
Mm-hmm.
And for you personally in your shop and how you like to coach, what's your view on diagnostic processes? Do you like to
So,
charge for it? Do you like to do the free diag? What's your
yeah,
takeaway on that?
Yeah, there's exceptions to everything, so keep that in mind. But we definitely charge for it. We have flat diagnostic levels of that we try to isolate, in upfront. So like a level one, a level two, and a level three, and it's going to range anywhere from $60 to $400 for us. And then obviously it's possible that it could go beyond that, but that's going to be really a case by case, conversation with the customer. But that's kind of how we do it. We kind of try to figure out like if somebody has a little bit of a clunk in the front end every time they hit a bump, that's going to be closer to a $60 diagnosis time. Um, and we are also, every time a car comes in, we're doing a free courtesy inspection, a DVI, on every single car. So sometimes we pick some of that stuff up too. Like if we're doing an oil change with a free courtesy inspection with a DVI, we're going to pick up a stabilizer link that's a little bit loose, and I'm probably not going to charge for it. But if somebody calls in and says, "Hey, I need to bring my car in because it's clunking in the front," then we're going to start talking about diagnostic levels. So the customer's ready for us to do that because we're not really performing any other work on the car. So, and really, our shop has evolved over time. It's changed, but that we've kind of gone with that basic setup for the last several years. So
That sounds like a fair way of doing it. There's just when it comes to like when someone says free anything, it just seems to be like this trigger word.
right.
You're
I mean,
giving
I
something
think
away for free.
it's a bad idea to when someone calls with a specific problem to not tell them that they can expect a charge. I mean, we're paying our guys too much, and we've got too much invested in the equipment that we need to figure this stuff out, to not charge for it. I mean, it's just unfortunately the way it has to be. So
Yeah. It's a tough call because back to the point we were talking about with like common pattern failures. A lot of the time when the vehicle comes in, like you can kind of isolate what the issue is, and like you said with the inspections, like you can shake down a vehicle and probably find 80% of like customers' concerns right within that 15 or 20-minute PMI,
yes,
and so it's always difficult. Okay, so do we do we turn that work away by putting a barrier up, or we tell them to just get it in here and let me take a look at it at no cost and we'll see where that goes? It's a fine line, and it's really difficult, and that's where the camps get divided, right? Because
For
it's like
sure.
you have to charge for everything or you don't charge for anything. And I like that variable. I like to be like, let's just play in the gray area, right? Let's like use our brain a little bit. And if it's something that it's like, well, get it in here. Let me take a quick look at it. And if it's nothing I can see right away, then we'll talk about what it's going to cost to look deeper into it, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, it does, but it's not so much. What you're going to charge for each level is different for every shop. I mean, it's just different. I think you have to keep in mind that if you're doing an hour of diagnosis or more, you're not getting any money for the part. So there's no profitability there. So you want to think about that when you're setting it. Ours is a little higher than what our labor rate would be for an hour, because we're losing some profitability with that. But then at the end of the day, if it ends up being a really good job that we get and we need to, and we think we're close to knowing what it is, it makes sense to, if I got to do it for a little less or I got to do whatever, I mean, it makes sense to do it as long as at the end of the day, the gross profit on the job makes sense. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I think people get really hung up on being, this is the way it has to be and I'm not going to budge at all. And you sometimes lose sight of like, well, what am I giving up just to be stubborn about this? So,
That's a good point. What's that car worth to you? What's your ARO, right? Like it's
right.
$1,000. But then what's the lifetime spent on that customer if you just take care of them the first time?
Absolutely. I mean, I've had that happen a lot, in my career where it's like, all right, this is an exception I definitely want to make because it makes a lot of sense. You'll see somebody, send a $2,000 mailer to a bunch of people that don't even know who they are and they feel good about that and they don't even know what the return is. But to give up $60 on a diag to get a $1,500 job that gets them all upset. I don't understand that. Like,
That is an excellent point, and that's exactly what it is too. It's like, well, that $60 means so much to me because that's my time and my experience. It's like,
right,
and it goes right back to like, well, you're no longer a tech anymore. You are
right,
now a business owner. And I
right,
think that is where like
right,
you have to you no longer are the tech, like, and if you're a tech on the floor and the boss comes up and says, "Hey, I'm pulling $60 out of your check because I need this guy here for the next 5 years." You can get upset about that. Like
right.
that's not right.
Absolutely. Right. Yes.
But now you own the business, so you have to give up that $60. Still pay your tech so
Yep.
that you know that customer is going to come back for the next 5 years or 10
That's
years
right.
or whatever.
It's the
That's a
big,
hard thing to realize, man.
it is, but it's the big picture and that's it, and it is important. If you, if you, we'll periodically send out like $50 gift cards to our best customers. We might send them out to 300 customers and it's $50 gift card, good until this date. And it can't be used on an oil change or a battery. There's some exclusions or whatever, but it's $50 and they come in and it's like every time you're discounting $50, it's like, oh man, I'm giving up $50. Now we're making sure that the GP on that job is still okay. It's not like we're losing money on the job. We're still doing fine, but it's a real $50. Um, but when you have like our Google reviews, I don't know, we're at like 370 ish, and we're 4.8. We have a lot of 5-star reviews on there, and we live in a relatively smaller community, just outside of Grand Rapids, and people look at that stuff. So what is that worth? I mean, to me, that's the best advertising you can have is happy customers, people that feel like when an exception needs to get made, you're willing to make it because you're on site, you're paying attention, and they're important to you. So that kind of thing has, to your point, a lot bigger implications than just the $50.
Well, and then you can wrap that right into marketing where it lowers your cost of acquisition, right? And I think like we
Absolutely.
lose sight on that. Like, what's it cost? Like 60, 70, $80 for
Right.
cost per acquisition.
Right.
But then like you're going to pay $60 to a marketing firm, why don't you just give that $60 to your clients?
Yes.
And then how many more people are they going to tell? So then now you just get three more people for that
Yeah,
50, 60 bucks. But like my main thing when I thought about that, I was like, I'd rather give that 50 or 60 bucks to my clients too, than to
right,
give it to the, as good of a job as our marketing team does.
right.
Um,
Yeah, right.
I'd still rather go to the clients, you know?
Yeah, I mean, your absolute best return on investment is going to be the clients who already know you. And if you can get another visit, I mean, chances are a client that comes here all the time, the last time they were in, we did a DVI, we did a good one, and there was probably some stuff that they declined. They probably declined some preventative maintenance or whatever. That happens on most tickets. That $50 shows up 3 months later, and they're like, you know what? It's a good time. It's a good time to do that stuff that they suggested. We have it happen all the time. So if I have an ARO of $600, which is about what we have, and I can get somebody back in one more time per year to do some of that stuff, and on average it's $600. Is that worth a $50 discount? Absolutely. So to me, that just makes all the sense in the world, and it surprises me how many people that doesn't make sense to. Like, I definitely have had clients in the past where it's like, we don't want to do any of these discounts because we've already got enough business and we don't want to give any money away.
Yeah, we're not a discount shop.
Yeah, and I understand where they're coming from. I mean, I get that. I don't think you want to be a race to the bottom. We are definitely not the least expensive shop in the area at all,
Right.
and I don't think you should be. But again, you got to just see our customers that have been with us for a long time understand that stuff's probably going to come at some point, and that's part of the reason that they're with us because they feel like they're getting a good value. But at the same time, my ARO is where I want it to be, and my gross profit is where I want it to be, which means my net is where I want it to be. So all of that, I'm not giving stuff away to the point that it isn't making a lot of sense. So
Well, that and like back to like the philosophical side of like growing pains, right? And that's the growing pains of a shop. And sometimes that shop that was word of mouth only, that you were booked 2 weeks out all the time, and you had one or two technicians. Now you have four or five technicians. You're not booked out. Well, that old shop's got to die, right? Like,
right, yeah,
and now you have to send out some discounts because you realize you're spending $3,000 a month on
yeah,
advertising,
right,
right? And it's like, now you have 200 cars, do the math, it's 50, 60 bucks a car coming in through the door.
that's right,
Okay, so what else can I do with that 50 or 60 bucks? Should
right.
I keep getting more new, or should I start bringing in? Now you're watching your retention go down the other way because you've become more expensive and your old customers are like, I don't really want to go. Right. So it's like,
Yeah,
man, is it like, and like to your point, when you very first started, just never ending. It's like,
yep,
it's always freaking changing.
it is. Yeah, and you got to be as an owner, as much as you don't necessarily have to be in the business working in it all the time, you gotta have a finger on the pulse of what's going on and to feel when those changes are coming and how you can adjust. And back to the original point, a coach will help you do that. I
Yeah.
mean, particularly when I'm dealing with a lot of different shops around the country, I'm frankly hearing a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things, and I'm seeing the success of different ideas in different ways that I can then bring to other clients too. So you're not just getting the coach's experience that they had in their shop, although that is really valuable. You're getting the fact that they're talking to sometimes dozens of other shops that are succeeding on some level all the time. And that information does kind of circulate.
Getting down on the end of this thing, I wanted to ask you, when you're talking about coaching, and do you have any golden nugget or silver bullet that we all want to hear? Do you have
Oh,
something that you have noticed in the last 10 months that's like a constant theme when you start with these clients?
that I start. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to seem super simple, but it was the big thing with me when I started, and it's the thing I see the most is as a whole in this industry, we are afraid that if we cost a little more, people are going to run away. I mean, most of the time, probably 7 times out of 10, when I get with a new client, I'm going to look at their effective labor rates, one of the first things we look at, and it's typically well below where we think it ought to be. So there have been times when I actually, when I first started doing it, I had a lot of pushback on a couple shops of the idea that their labor rate should be higher. I don't think anybody should jack their labor rate up overnight, so I don't want that to be misunderstood. But I think most of them are charging less than what they should be and could be in labor. So the first couple of clients that I had, I actually called other shops in their area as kind of shopped other shops just to kind of find out what the labor rates were or whatever. And there was one in particular that it's actually the husband and wife that I told you about before that live on property. They are the nicest people. She answers every phone call. She's warm. She's knowledgeable. If you called there, you would feel like they want your business and they're going to take good care of you. And I called around like 3 shops in their area. It's kind of a rural area. And the level of customer service I got on those phone calls was less than a 2 out of 10 from all 3. I mean, I think 2 of the 3, I couldn't even understand what they said when they answered the phone. They were clearly in the middle of something else. They had no interest in helping her whatsoever. And my client shop was at or below their labor rate of all of them. So, getting back with them and going, hey, you guys just don't understand how well you're doing and what you're worth. When people are calling around, um, people, they're not going to be scared to pay you what you're worth when this is the alternative. And that happens a lot. I mean, I just think that we think if we're at $110 an hour and we went to 115, 30% of our business is just going to go away. And
Yeah, but ultimately, how much is that at the end of the repair bill?
it's not much. And I mean, when I bought this shop, we were at $80 an hour. This was in 2015. And for the first 2 years, my coach was just relentless. He just let me have it, you know. And he's like, we had loaner cars, we had, a great waiting area, a clean shop, certified techs, all the equipment. And he's like, it just doesn't make sense. And I was frankly scared to go up. And over time, he just wore me down, and it it just it over time we went up. 10 years later, we're at just under $150 an hour, and it makes more sense. But every time I was afraid to charge a little more, um, and then I ended up just doing it. There was just no pushback at all. I mean, I just never heard anything. Now, over time, did we probably lose some customers that I never heard from just because we got more expensive? Yeah, maybe. But we're doing way more tickets per month now than we did in the beginning. So if we lost them, we've replaced them with the kind of customers that we want.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yep.
I also noticed that pattern as well, right?
Yeah,
You start losing the 80/20s, right? 80% of your time and 20% of your profit. And then you
absolutely.
and then you start getting more key tossers. You get people coming in and it's like, I've never had key tossers before.
Right.
Like at 100, 120 an hour, like I never had key tossers. Now we're close to 200. It's like, and I got people coming, man, whatever it takes, man.
Yep.
Thanks for the Uber, right?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you get down to it, you look at it, and I mean, there might be some guys out there that are getting mega wealthy doing this, but it's not me. I'm making a good living and I'm building a nice business, but I'm not going to be a billionaire any day soon. So
Right.
we are providing a great service for the community. We want to do the right thing. Every time a customer comes in here, I want to treat them right. We want to fix their car the first time, and we want to make it as convenient as possible for them to get their car fixed here. And we want to make a reasonable profit in doing it. That's it. And nobody should have to apologize for that. No one should have
Absolutely
to
not.
feel bad. So,
No,
yeah.
absolutely not. It does kind of ruin you a little bit when you get to the other side because then you start holding other, like, as a client, I start holding the people I conduct business with to a higher standard, right? So it kind of kind of ruins you a little bit, right? You start calling around to get service, other work done on your house or whatever.
Yep.
And if you don't get the level of service that you're providing, man, like I don't want to deal with this company. And it just like like the tides rise all the boats, right? So you start realizing like I don't want to do business with those people anymore. Like,
Yeah, yeah. The owner of Repair Shop of Tomorrow, that's a famous line he has about high tide raises all boats, and that's true. I mean, we actually have I have they're not my client, but they're a coaching client of Repair Shop of Tomorrow. They're literally, I could probably hit their shop with a rock from my front parking lot. They're less than a quarter mile down the street. And they're right in my market, and when they came on, it was like a question of is it okay if we bring these guys on? They're right down the street from you, and I'm like, absolutely. I would rather have a shop down the street doing things the right way, charging the right way in our community. It makes it better for both of us. So
yeah,
I think that's the right attitude.
that's a good point. Well, Mr. Brent, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was
And if
great,
you want
man.
to
I
get a hold
appreciate
of
it.
him, check out RSOT Repair Shop of Tomorrow, our premier sponsor of this podcast. So big shout out to Repair Shop of Tomorrow. Get
Appreciate
get in
that.
touch with your Napa rep and go find Mr. Brent Kilmer if you're looking for someone to get your shop into tomorrow. Is that how it works?
Sure. Yeah. Tomorrow's.
Sign up today. Sign up today to have a better shop tomorrow.
I love it.
We're gonna
Uh,
we're gonna come up with a new tagline for this, man.
yeah,
It's gonna
we
be good.
might have to pay you for that one. I don't know. It's good. Yeah.
Listen, if you're anything like me, you know the struggles of inconsistent car count and tight margins. That's where Repair Shop of Tomorrow comes in. They help shop owners like us increase sales, improve efficiency, and grow our businesses with proven strategies. Check them out at repairshopoftomorrow.com today and start growing tomorrow.